Hey guys, Foxdrop here bringing you another tips video, this time for the mid lane. I previously covered jungle and support, so I'll put those videos in the description should you want to watch them after watching this one. Today we're going to share some juicy tips aimed at making you a better mid laner and how to carry your games harder, specifically in the lower ratings. As with the other videos of this kind, this is being made in partnership with ProGuides, a website which, as the name would suggest, gives you quality resources for being a better League player. So without further ado, let's get on to the first point, having good, clean trades. Trading in League refers to the way you exchange damage with the enemy laner. A good trade will be something that leads to the enemy laner taking a lot of damage while you take very little, while a bad trade would be obviously something quite the opposite. Getting good trades in is how you form an advantage over your opponent and can set up kills, prevent the enemy from making plays, deny him CS, and all that lovely business. Now, the art of trading heavily comes down to experience and differs between each champion, but there are some tips that can be used that will benefit you regardless of who you're playing. The first tip is to get level 2 before your enemy does, and as soon as you hit it, to go in for a trade. A level 2 versus a level 1 will always swing in the favour of the level 2 very, very heavily. You'll always win the trade, often blow a summoner, and sometimes even snag first blood. The way to do this is to quite simply push a bit very early on. Make sure you kill those few minions before your opponent does. It's as simple as that. Similarly, you should try to do the same for the level 6. If you have your ultimate up and the enemy doesn't, they're in for a world of pain. The last thing to say about trading is to be careful about who you're up against and to play accordingly. Specifically, mages tend to be very ability focused and therefore cooldown reliant. If their spells aren't up, you can beat them. Physical damage mid laners or people with auto attack enhancers like Orianna and Fizz tend to have more sustained trade damage and can keep pumping out pain even when their abilities are down, so you don't really want to go toe to toe with them for any extended period of time. Before you guys think I'm some kind of GM at the deadline with how much I'm talking about trades, I'm going to move on. This next point is about safety in the lane. I'm not talking here about the kind of safety that you carry around with you in your wallet just in case. Although, of course, let's be honest, it never really gets used and then just serves to leave a ringed imprint on your wallet's leather, but whatever. Here, I'm talking about avoiding ganks. You see, mid can be a bit tricky when it comes to gank prevention as you're left open from both sides. This is, of course, alleviated by the fact that mid is a much shorter lane, so the safety of your tower is never too far away. But you're still at risk from those annoying junglers, especially if you opt to play aggressively. Of course, it goes without saying that you really don't want to die too much from your laning, because that is a good way to give the enemy an advantage and make it very hard for you to carry. So, you're vulnerable from both sides. How on earth do you survive? You can't ward everything. Well, my friend, you don't have to ward everything. You see, wards are not just useful for showing you where people are, but also for where people aren't. If you've warded one side and you know it's clear, you don't even have to worry about what's on the other side. At the end of the day, you're a mid laner, not a Dell. All you've really got to do is just hug the side that you've lit up, and then even if the pesky enemy jungler is on the other side, he won't be able to reach you unless you heavily misplay. Next up is a tip about how to play the lane. Now, I'd recommend that if you feel you can kill the enemy laner, you should try and keep the minion wave near the middle of the lane so you can have some space to either zone the enemy from the minions or to fight him. If you don't think that you can kill the enemy laner, and also if you're just not sure what you should be doing, push the lane. If you get that enemy laner under their tower, you will have total control over them. Not only will they lose a lot of CS to the tower, but they may also go out of mana from using spells to last hit. You can also poke them if you've got enough range to do so, and it's hard for them to trade back with you without missing a lot of minions. And finally, the best thing about pushing is that you can totally deny the enemy laner his ability to roam or react to plays. Someone stuck under their tower is not someone who can move freely. This gives you such an advantage in pressure that your team will have a much easier lane phase. However, if you are pushing, you are also much more susceptible to ganks. So be careful and employ the tip that I just gave before. Now, before we get on to the last point, guys, I just want to thank you for watching this far. And please don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and of course leave your feedback or questions down below in the comments too, and I'll try to get around to answering them when I can. So that last point that I want to make about carrying as a mid laner is the power of roaming. Roaming is basically just like playing as a secondary jungler. You can apply pressure and give advantages to your team, and the more you roam, the easier it is for your allies to win their lane. So when do you roam? Well, as we've just talked about, roaming when you've just pushed a wave in is generally speaking the optimal time for you to leave your lane, as you'll lose the least amount of CS while doing it. It also means that the enemy laner won't be able to counter roam, which increases your chance of success. Of course, you can't just go when it suits you. The situation has to be right as well. Basically, just not when the enemy laners are under their tower, unless of course they're somewhat low on health, in which case diving them is actually a pretty good choice as well. As a mid laner, you don't have to be too picky about when you go and roam, because you tend to have enough damage to make a play happen regardless. Also, as a side note, use this time when you're roaming to put wards down in the enemy jungle, and the use of a sweeping trinket, especially the one you get at level 9, makes your roams infinitely more effective. Now that's all I want to say for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said in the beginning, this video was made in partnership with Pro Guides. If you want to step your game up to the next level, then I definitely recommend that you go and check them out. They've got great customer service and just great content made from lots of great people. I'm definitely not the only one there, so I'll put a link to them in the description. But most importantly, guys, like I just said, thank you so much for watching. If you want to subscribe to me here on YouTube, please feel free to do so. I do lots of educational content, but a bit of entertaining stuff on the side as well. You can find me on Facebook, on Twitter, and catch me streaming over at twitch.tv/Foxdrop. All of those links are in the description, guys. But like I said, the third time here, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate when you guys watch my videos. Seriously, it means a lot to me. So thanks a lot for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in my next video.